ELBC Presidential Press Secretary, Madam Kula Fofana, to talk about the president's planned address to anytime at the ministerial complex to launch the 10,000 youth in our city training, and our outside broadcast crew is at the ministerial complex. As soon as we get words from them, we will be joining them as well. But Madam Fofana, it's good to speak to you at this time. Good morning.
Good morning, Favle, and good morning to Liberians listening to us here and elsewhere. And I'm happy to be here all the time. And thanks for the improvement and for the work you all are doing here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, this morning we'll be talking all things 100 days deliverables. How has it been, from the first day to now? And I know there are projects that will be ongoing even after the 100 days, but how has it been?
Well, it's been wonderful. It's been an interesting time in our country, especially where our president was inaugurated since his inauguration, and coming to today. Today marking the first 100 day in office of the 6 years.
Oh, today is.
Yeah. From the 22nd to the 1st. And it's been very interesting. And the president, he has been very upbeat about working for the Liberian people. And some of his goal and health, just all the sectors. And as you know, Vafle, almost all of our sectors are in dire need of attention and specific investments and interest. So it's been ongoing. He's upbeat, he's happy, and he's moving. Government has been formed every day. The government is almost completed now with the formation and appointments that have been ongoing. So now we're on appointing boards and the remaining few spaces that are available for appointment.
Just put into context for those who may not know the 100 days and the arrest agenda.
Perfect. So the 100 days, because there's this hype, especially amongst those who really does not or do not support the president, that the president 100 day is not to say you're going to achieve all of the things in your agenda in the first 100 days. But as a government, in the first 3 months, you should be able to get set. You clearly outline, where you are, where you intend to go. And most importantly, the 100 day is a short-term plan to say we're going to get, to put things in motion and get started to show that you're serious for governance. And then is the first 100 day of the 6 years that you've been given an opportunity to serve. And the arrest agenda is that overarching development plan. In fact, what's going to happen immediately after the 100 day, there are already conversations around the development of the long-term development plan that is, will take place. You remember, I served during President Sirleaf's time as a co-chairperson on the Vision 2030. So you have something like a vision, which is the agenda. And then out of the arrest agenda, you'll have the development plan coming out of the arrest agenda that will set the stage few years in the next 5 years. I mean, these are things we intend to do. So that is in every sector. So for example, the arrest agenda talks about the overarching goal for the agriculture.
arrest agenda. It should be in October, something like that.
Mm.
So from now
Mhm.
to October until you get the arrest agenda in full effect, what happens?
So we already have the arrest agenda in effect. The arrest agenda, if you saw the initial plan, you will see the unity party during the campaign time that you have an overall idea. In fact, interestingly, I was on the agenda committee. And out of that, you also had the different sectors. So, for example, during the transitional period, there is something called the transitional period.
Yeah.
When you had people working in different sectors.
Okay.
They for example, education pillar, they had all these different
clusters and
the different clusters, people were working in those lines. So you see, development plan and development agenda is something that culminates, that speaks to each other. So you have, for example, the arrest agenda, overall arrest agenda, and then you have the cluster working group that their goal and aspiration would not be very different from what the overarching goal of the president is, which is the arrest agenda. And then coming to this 100-day plan, the 100-day plan is not mutually exclusive of what the arrest agenda is. So they all speak to each other. In fact, then in this process, as we speak, that development is ongoing. And even with the, for example, the 100-day development plan doesn't mean that if it is earmarked, for example, let's take the road.
Yeah.
The road are supposed to be pliable during the heat of the rain, or during the major part of the rainy season, where you have some very bad spot. In fact, yesterday the president had gone to do some inspection on the road work that are happening, specifically the Broadville to Bapolu corridor. So, for example, the 100-day that was earmarked. Those projects, like showing that critical spots, the ice moving equipment that will be able to ensure that these roads are pliable.
Fulfillment of the president's
100 days.
Yeah.
But it's going to even continue long after the 100 days. It doesn't mean since today marks the 100th day, so all the project will stop, but it's continuing, because the 100 day, like we've said, is a short-term plan, and then the rest of it, every other thing will go over to the remaining time. Okay. But most importantly, what's going to happen today, once the president concludes his speech and everything, there's a full report that the Ministry of Finance and all the sector ministries are working together to ensure that the report is made available to everyone to see where we are, because as you know, the speech will not say all the things that have been happening in the report and everything
else. It's
a summary of key achievements that the president and his team have achieved in the course of the first 100 days.
Okay.
So the report now will then state, in matching with what the initial plan was, to say this is the 100-day we've achieved, we're giving resources to do XYZ, and this is where we are, these are the challenges.
Okay, so we'll make sense of the 100-day more, but let's inform our listeners that this interview has been relayed on Development Communications Network in Sestos, Riverside County. Now, looking at the background of this 100-day, it says here the strategic design of the 100-day action plan is based on deep understanding of the current governance and macroeconomic situation and the challenges that need immediate action. Were there resources allotted to sector ministries, agencies for the implementation of the 100 days?
To some extent, I would say yes, and to other extent, I would say there are challenges. And in fact, part of the 100-day, for example, if you see the 100-day deliverable plan, one of the things, and some of the things, in development, government is continuity. So whatever the former government worked on and were left for the current government to continue from where the former government stopped. And there were challenges along those lines. So, for example, this WIAC payment, WIAC fees payment.
Yep.
Do you know that the government is owing WIAC over $5 million from previous government? Even we're paying WIAC fees, but those resources were not paid to WIAC, and it is something that this government is working on to alleviate, and the president will be telling the country on what we've done with WIAC, for example, or maybe not just pointing out WIAC, but like generally on the educational buckets, like students that we have on scholarships and here and there.
So that's true, because I have it here. The sector is education, right? The agency or the ministry is Ministry of Education. The intervention, scholarship arrears payment, local and foreign students. The objective, to pay the arrears of both local and international scholarship students. And the money allotted for that was 100,000.
So I can say the president will be giving update on where we stand on those, but I can tell you there have been intervention in those areas. The health sector, there have been some achievements in all key sectors, and the president will be updating the country on specifically. So I will encourage us to also do a post delivery analysis on, and then once the report is submitted, and then we'll upload it on the mansion website that you and others interested in the specifics can go and flag those information out. But this is just to say it is a beginning of a long-term development process, and development is not just in the first 100 days. And this is to tell you that you have a very serious government, you have a very serious president who is very interested in putting things in motion and clearing some of the challenges that he inherited from the past administration, but most importantly to looking forward and working for the Liberian people, because he was elected and he promised to make things work for Liberia, and that is what he's doing every day.
So talk us through, the process leading to the president's address today. What's going to be happening?
So right now, the president will be going to the EJS ministerial complex, where he will be launching the 10,000 program for 10,000 young people, youth on information communication technology program, and that is going to be a training for 6 months. For, you see, what we talked about, this was talked about in the first 100 day, but it's going to be way beyond the first 100 day, and then after that he will go to the executive mansion, where he will be addressing the nation from there at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And it's going to be hopefully LBC can take it live to the people, and it can be relayed on other radio stations as well. But he's very excited about what he's achieved, but most importantly he's holding his cabinet members, because at the end of the day, his plan is to ensure that Liberia is better than how he met it, and he wants to leave it better than what he met. So every day he says that, and he's relying 100% on his cabinet ministers, because they are the leaders and stalwarts in each of those sectors. So, for example, the health minister. So the president says, this is my agenda on health. You, with your experience, with your, your involvement, with your connections, make it happen for the Liberian people. Whatever the president can do to ensure that sector work is something important. And I give you an example. For example, the Minister of the Minister of Education. The minister went to the Southeast recently, and she briefed the president about some of the challenges. Favle, you'll be surprised how some teachers don't go to school. They don't even have a lesson plan. They're just teaching in some of the counties. You go there, classes where the kids are still sitting on the floor. It's appalling, and the president is looking forward to his team of cabinet ministers to be able to go to the communities, to the counties, each of those counties, in each of those sectors. For example, you'll be able to tell the president, what are we doing in Wokonjide, for example, in the agriculture sector? How we ensuring that, even with the public works, how can we ensure that road network gets to those places? So his lieutenant is really very excited that they will be able to reach out to cover every part of the country.
Is he going to be, paying keen attention to reactions? Let's say, because usually when leaders speak, the feedbacks inform further decisions.
Absolutely. And one of the things we are planning to do, or we've already done, we did launch the letters to the president, where people, Liberians in and out of Liberia, young people, children, youth, students can write to the president, can share their opinion and thoughts. One of the things that I do at our office is to culminate all of the different talking points, all of the different things that are happening in the media, to let him know that these are the things that people are saying, and these are the things that people are talking about. So then from that, he's informed on what next he can do. Sometimes he asks his specific line agency minister at specific ministry to say, oh, the people are saying XYZ. What do you have to say about it? Or what are some of these issues? How can we address them? What do you need to do? That's why he has his team of advisors, so when there are any issue that team of advisors need to respond to or contribute to, he invite them on board, and they work on those to solve some of those problems. Yeah.
I know you don't want to diverge, specifics, you don't want to speak before the president, but from your own perspective and looking at how development as part of the 100 days, how developments have been going, progress as sector ministries, agencies, what is the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation, is the rehabilitation of the sewage system, it is the Monrovia City Corporation, carrying on with disposal exercise. What can you say about the 100 days? Progress, more challenges, or steady progress?
I can tell you that there are tremendous progress on the 100-day deliverables. And of course, I can also tell you that there are challenges. And I can also tell you, as you know, the budget was just passed just a few days ago.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday, actually. And, it's been, was it yesterday or the day before?
So the House passed it?
Right, the House passed it on Monday, and then Sunday concurred last evening. Yesterday, yes. So I'm just saying, so as you see, there have been challenges when it comes to the allocations and what needs to happen. However, there have been tremendous progress on the 100-day deliverable, and the goal in moving forward. Some institutions have done extremely well in their sectors. Some institutions are still catching up. Some institutions have challenges, but yet then on the overall, I can say we're getting there. In fact, we've seen updates and report. For example, especially one of the key things that the president did mention was the issue of the road, to ensure that the road are maintained and accessible during the rain. And we'll soon be in the middle part of the rain. And I'm told that we're informed that across the country, for example, in Zueju, parts of Grand Bassa, to those very difficult spots, and even in the southeast, Tapeta, we've seen photographs and other information and report that these progress have been made. I just told you that the president went yesterday to between Broville to Bapolu corridor, but he stopped to Swenmaka in Bomi to inspect the roadworks. I'm sometimes I'm on that road. I know sometimes that road is cut up during the rain, and portion of the road is really very bad. And I was really surprised when I went there yesterday along with the president. The road is pliable. You can carry a very low vehicle on the road, and you can go as far as, we almost got to Papua at some point. We thought we were lost or something, but it was pliable. That's the point we're trying to make, that these interventions, even though yes, they're dusted road, but the goal is to ensure that it's pliable, and these are all short-term
so that cars don't get stuck.
These are short-term plan, and they're long-term plan in terms of helping to pave the road. As you know, pavement of the road, it takes some time. Similarly, in other areas, we're told even in Cape Mount, for example, it's part of the plan. The Mandina to Rabas Post Road is part of the the plan in other corridors within the country. In the southeast, there are progress that have been made along those lines.
Truly, I was afraid for the president when he said 100 days, no car will get stuck. So I was like, someone will take their car and get stuck at the back of their yard. So when you, completed, non-completed, ongoing, what can you say? Do we have more completed projects than ongoing projects?
So the sectors have given us assurance that we have at least we've
more completed.
And then the places, and coming back to the no car gets stuck in the mud. I remember somebody said, "Oh, but the president is very smart, eh? In the first 100 days, say in the first 100 days, that's dry season, so." Principally, no car will get stuck during the dry season. But that was not the thought. The idea basically was the president's goal is to ensure that things are in motion.
Okay.
That every corridor is pliable. I spoke about it about 2 weeks ago during our press briefing. The goal the president has is to bring back the maintenance zone And there are active conversations happening along those lines. So where there are rain season, there are hot spot, there are difficult places to plant. I'm sure you know, if you go into Maryland, for example, you know how challenging. In fact, you remember during the course of the elections, people used to pass to other countries to get to Maryland, for example. So the goal is to ensure that the difficult and spots in our corridors across our country are accessible, because road is tied into everything. It tied into access to food, it tied into transportation, because if it's difficult for you to get somewhere, the people who can get there by the difficult means, they're going to put their transportation up. Even motorbikes, for example, or even keke, whatever mode of transportation people use, they will normally put that, price very high. It also goes to moving goods and services. If you find it so difficult to buy your goods from one spot, you want to carry it, it's difficult to put because the transportation is high. So you're going to definitely make that difficult. So if we have access to road, people will essentially, costs will reduce in terms of transportation, commodities costs will reduce, and then the living condition and living status of our people will reduce. And that is the goal of the president. The president, every day, he really, really talks about all the time how we can ensure that this country is pliable. As you remember, in 2017, when he contested, when he was candidate Boakai, his whole agenda was on road, road, road. You remember he talked lengthily about road. So he's really very, very interested in ensuring that our country, people have access to movements, goods and services, food, medication. Even people who are not well, they're able to leave from, one spot and get to the other spot, get to health facilities where they can get help. So that is the goal of the president across all the different sectors, whether it's the education, ensuring that kids get education. The quality in Montserrado must not be different from the quality in Bokonjile or in the Southeast, in Maryland, in Cape Mount. But the way it is now, I can tell you, from some updates that we've been getting, especially from the Minister of Education, is horrible. It's horrifying. It's terrible. Kids, students, teachers don't even know a principal just doing their own thing. People don't have lesson plan and all the. In fact, I just saw that there were the Minister of Education, one of the counties, she had to take some drastic administrative action against one of the instructors there. And these are some of the challenges. This is what the president have consistently said, that he wants to make sure his ministers are going to seeing what's happening in the sector and giving him feedback and reports.
So one thing I wanted you to clarify here is that it is not a guarantee that the 100 days deliverables will obviously tie around the arrest agenda, or the what is agriculture, is road, rule of law, education, tourism, sanitation. You may not see more progress in tourism, for example.
Oh no, there will be progress. I can tell you for a fact. So what I can tell you on tourism, in fact, the president has submitted the tourism bill to the legislature to develop the tourism commission.
Okay.
So that bill is already with the legislature, and hopefully that's one of his major legislative agenda. So once he gets that passed, that's a progress that have been made, as well as in the sector. In fact, there were some issues with Patawi and their team that have gone there. So they're playing their things in motion. Even the Ministry of Information, that the tourism component is launched on. There is this conversation now that tourism will be separated, because we all know other countries benefit hugely from the tourism bucket. And Liberia also have some very amazing touristic attraction that we need to develop. That, in fact, very recently we did report, the president talked about the surfing competition that's about to happen towards the end of May, between the 23rd to the 28th in Rabat Sports. People having the African Surfing Association having an international competition where surfers will come from all over the world to come to Rabat Sports. So that's an opportunity in the tourist industry and sector.
Okay, you listening to a special edition of the Super Morning Show. This morning we in an exclusive interview with the presidential press secretary ahead of the president's address to the nation at 2:00. Is it 2?
Yes, at 2 p.m.
Okay.
Yes.
Executive mansion.
Absolutely. At the Executive Mansion Palace.
Okay, so the president will be speaking on the 100 days deliverables. Also, the president will be speaking at the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex to launch the 10,000 youth in RCT training. Our OB crew is there. As soon as we get a word from them, we will join them. But as we end this special interview, I just wanted to know the acronym ARREST.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see progress deliverables all around the acronym ARREST today.
And by the report, and then in fact, once the report come out, you will be able to see specifics.
Okay.
So under the agriculture sector, that's why it's been consistent with the different sectors. So for example, agriculture, there have been intervention within the agriculture component, the road. And the other thing about it is within the first 100 days, the major highlight for the president that he said no car will get stuck. That was his policy statement, and all the other things. So the road network, because we know this is the rain season that's coming, and that's why he put premium or emphasis on ensuring that the roads are pliable and those critical spots, the road equipment waiting or moving and trying to, ensure that cars move in those areas. Yes, I mean, there will be challenges. Everything 100% may not be achieved, but the good things and the good news is that people will be there and work will be in progress along those lines. So is that it's not going to be in a situation where absolutely nothing is happening, where you don't see no one, you don't see Ministry of Public Works, you don't see road equipment. That won't be the situation. The situation will be that those critical spots should be and will be pliable during the course of the rain season.
Before we end, talk us through the reporting strategy from these heads of ministries, we call them the MACs, the Ministry Agency Commissions. Did they report separately?
So now
about their progress.
As you know, there is the Ministry of Finance who is in charge of there's a planning department within the Ministry of Finance Development Planning, where all the different spending entities are expected to report. So there's a template that they're supposed to send in the report to the Ministry of Finance, and they collate all of those in coordination with two segments of the Ministry of State. You have the Cabinet Secretariat.
Yeah.
So that is headed by the Director General, who is the head of the Cabinet Secretariat, and those information are collated and shared, and then report presented to the President. Then you also have the Presidential Delivery Unit at the Ministry of State. So that also is a platform. There is a platform that has been developed so that all these agencies will be able to input information and data. And one of the other things that the President has been constant and consistent on is the fact that his administration will ensure there's a performance indicator for all of the line ministries and agencies. So that development process is currently...
So that it's not just theory?
No. It's not just theory.
I was about to ask, do we have video evidence of before and now? Before and now?
There should be video evidence. So there'll be some things that you won't be able to, for example, the training, you won't be able to say there was no training here, there was no training there. But those physical projects, so for example, on road, you'll see that there's, so for example, there's some infrastructure development project. For the infrastructure and physical project, you can actually see what it was. In fact, if you go to the City Hall, you see how challenging that building was when the current team took over. Even at the Executive Mansion, we did a tour with the entire media when we, immediately got there. So there are some things you can actually see, but there'll be some intervention that you won't be able to see, but you will see the report of what was reported. So as I was talking about the president's goal to ensure that all of his ministers and heads of agencies perform, is that there is going to be a performance, indicator, performance contract, where they will, but if you say you're supposed to, this is our target for this year. And as head of agency, you have to make sure all your division, departments and whatnot be able to, achieve that, because this will be based on what you're going to report. And this is the high expectation of the president for everyone who's working with him.
Will a high-performing ministry, agency, or commission be given a pat on the back or
Oh,
be pressed.
oh, that that
You
that
know,
that
at,
is.
at the end of the 100 days, and say, okay, you the most
And
performing.
well, I can't talk about it from the. I'm not sure it's in the plan for the first 100 day, but I think it's something for the long term, maybe the first year
Mm,
or so to see. I mean, but it's not something that I have the information on. But what I do know is that very recently, the Liberia Petroleum Refining Company, the team with headed by MD Amos Twe and his team, they came to update the president and presented the performance report on what they've done in the first few months that they've been there as a team and what they achieved, what revenue they've collected or generated and whatnot. And they presented that report to the president. He was very impressed. And he did tell them that this was like the first, of all of these different institutions and agencies. And that's something that he does
yeah.
regularly, especially those agencies and ministries that gave him regular update to know what's happening in the sector.
Yeah, because you want to engender, constructive competition amongst
Absolutely.
these ministries, agencies, and commissions, so that again, it's all about the overall goal is to increase productivity in the governance sector of the country. I mean, you can just remind us again, Madam Fofana, what's going to be happening. I know the RCT training is also part of the 100-day deliverables. It goes for 6 months. After that, the president goes to the mansion, gets prepared for 2 p.m. address. Yeah.
Yes. So specifically, that's what's going to happen. He gets prepared for 2 p.m. address, and for this week, there are also a number of different activities coming up towards the end of the week. And he's also going to be.
You can remind us about them.
We're just trying to finalize his schedule, whether there's going to be a key thing happening either on Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
But I will let you know again once because the president's schedule is shift in 1 minute here and there. But the other thing that's going to happen this week is that the president will be heading a delegation to the United States, where he's going to head the delegation for the African Leaders Summit.
Okay.
It's the African Business Summit, where he's going to be talking about the opportunities in Liberia, inviting investors and investments to come to Liberia, and what investments can do. One of the things that we need at this point is to ensure that the economy is active and working and vibrant, and that's what's going to give people job. But this, once the economy is vibrant, you have more interest in the private sector, you have many opportunities in the private sector. Not many persons will really want to go through government and all the different things. So that's the plan of the president. He's really very interested in looking forward to what form of investment and conversations can be had at those engagements, and how he can, our country can gain from those, participation that he's going to be in.
Okay, we are already out of time. Your final words before we leave you.
Well, let me say thank you very much, Fafle, and the rest of your team. Let me say thank you to the Director General. Since he became Director General, this is my first appearance.
Oh, okay.
And the last time I was here, he was into the Director General Eugene Fagon. Thank you for all of the work and the team that getting on board, the new team that have been here. I spoke with Mr. Kiawu this morning, and the rest of the team who've been holding the ground. Laura, you all doing a great job. Thank you for all that you continue to do, Fabio, and congratulations. I just saw that you've been made the Director for Public Affairs, so that means you will be busy out of it now. But again, it's always a pleasure. I'm always happy to come here and other places to talk about the president's agenda and the agenda for the country. Thank
you very much, Presidential Press Secretary Kula Fofana, on this special interview. So our OBQ is at the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex in Congo Town. As soon as we get words from them, we join them.